African-American inner-city pastors meeting with President Trump causes a big wave of backlash. You're on the road. Thank you for joining us again on the road for reviews, opinions,
and discussions.
I'm Bruce.
And I'm Rasan. And as always, we want to hear from you guys. So feel free to hit us up. We are on the web at joinusontheroad.com, social media at The Road Podcast, and we are streaming on all of your local podcast apps. So let's jump into it. We have an issue here. Interesting issue for the black community. On Wednesday, August 1st, a group of African-American inner-city pastors met with President Trump concerning prison reform. They received a big wave of backlash from other black pastors as well as some church members.
It is amazing that these pastors were trying to do something good for the community, knowing the problems that are there that exist, the plight that's there. Understanding the number of African Americans who are presently incarcerated and so many problems that they face, trying to reintegrate back into the communities around them.
Absolutely.
And the thing about it that really kind of behooves me is that no one's looking to find out if any positive things were discussed or any kind of ideas as far as helping this problem. Instead, they just jumped up and they had this backlash coming from the left, the liberal left, extreme left, and even the idea that pastors would come out against pastors who are trying to do something to make a difference in the community.
Like you said, nobody even thought to find out if anything positive had been discussed, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
That, it was pretty much no matter what they talked about, they were just pretty much demonized just for walking into a room with another person and having a conversation. Yeah,
and that person being Donald Trump.
Yeah,
which I don't really get it.
Yeah. I also don't think it should matter who, if you shouldn't be demonized for having a conversation with a person. I don't care who they are.
Especially trying to help the people in the community. I don't understand that.
So, since for those of us who would like to know what was discussed, they did talk about an urban agenda, including criminal justice reform and jobs for African Americans coming out of the system.
That's right.
And we know this has been an ongoing problem with America.
It's been going on for a very, very long time. Yeah. And when we look at the issue that they were dealing with, I mean, you have to sort of look at the statistics here. When you realize that black Americans make up approximately 12% of the American population, but they make up 33% of the prison population.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, a huge number. When you look at the disparity between the ratio of blacks in the country to the ratio of blacks in the prison population, I mean, it's just, you can't help but just kind of cringe at that. It's
exactly.
I mean, if you look at it another way, African American men are incarcerated at more than 5 times the rate of white men.
5 times.
And that's a big difference.
And what about women?
Yeah,
we don't talk about that.
We don't really talk about the women, but I mean, you got to add the fact that for black women are twice as likely to be in prison as white women.
And that's something that people don't really talk about.
You don't hear about that.
How many times have you heard that?
You really don't. It rarely comes up in conversation.
Exactly.
This might be the first time I've had a conversation about that.
Yeah, and because that's a fact. You can look it up and find out that what we're saying are actual statistics when it comes down to it. And let's add to the conversation of children being separated from their parents, which is a big issue going on right now, especially with the left when it comes down to children of illegal immigrants at the border being separated from their mothers. But what about the black men?
Yeah, what about the children that are being ripped away from their families in those black communities whose parents are being over incarcerated?
And you mentioned that on the last show, I do believe. Yeah. You talked about as far as children being ripped from their families. What about, and you mentioned the fact due to incarceration.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you said it right.
It's
without a doubt.
It's a big deal, man. It really is a big deal. And then on top of that, you have the fact that inmates who are returning into society they're facing problems as well. So you go to jail, you're ripped away from your family, your children are ripped away from you. You make it through your sentence, you get out of jail, you should be good to go, right? But
yeah, right.
That's not the case at all, is it?
It's not.
I mean, one of the biggest problems that people have when they come out of the prison system is finding a job.
That's right.
That lack of employment adds to the recidivism rate for most African Americans.
That's right.
I mean, how many times have people, committed another crime after they got out, reoffended, just because they were trying to make ends meet and make do.
Nobody wants to hire.
Things aren't set up for them.
Well, there were no jobs because we know the unemployment rate for African Americans was far higher than it was for white Americans, and even higher. And
we're not even talking. This is without going to jail.
That's without going to jail. And now with President Trump, of course that scenario is kind of turning around. But yet, and still, this problem still exists, and we're creates this kind of a domino effect in the African American urban communities across America. I mean, the lack of black men contributes to more single parent households, the lack of black male role models in the communities, and you can see a lot of these little African American boys and girls. I mean, come on, look, they have nobody to look up to, no role models,
no positive role models,
exactly, for them in those communities. But then it also adds to the poverty. I mean, poverty increases because now you have a single mother, single parent home with just the mother trying to bring in enough money to take care of both her and the children.
So you have a poverty of not only an economic poverty, but you also have a time poverty, because that single parent has to now not only generate the revenue, be the breadwinner, and care for the children. It's impossible. I think a lot of us know how hard it is to do that.
It's
Any
difficult.
of us who have kids can, even if you're in a dual family, dual parent household, I mean, just imagine being alone in that scenario.
Exactly.
And a lot of us already know, because a lot of us are in that situation.
Yeah, and it creates a bad problem, I mean, without a doubt. But it also contributes to what?
Well, it not only does it contribute to robberies, drugs, violent crimes, murder. I mean, this over criminalization of African Americans, which got worse during Bill Clinton's presidency, when he and the Democrats adopted several policies. One of them being the crime bill, the Violent Crime Control Law and Enforcement Act of 1994, which incidentally he signed into law in 1994. And let's face the facts. I mean, all the evidence proved that this law was actually ruinous to the black community. It proved to be ruinous to the African American community. It really did,
without a doubt.
Anybody who was around during those years, you can attest to the fact that
there's no doubt about it.
If you're a part of the black community, and you were part of the black community in the 90s, you know how bad that law was.
There's no doubt about it. There was a legal scholar. I'm going to look this up on my computer because I want to quote what she said. There was a legal scholar by the name of Michelle Alexander, and she stated this in an article written back in 2016, as a matter of fact.
2 years ago.
Exactly. Just 2 years ago. And she wrote this concerning President Clinton's presidency at the time. And she said, and I quote, "It is difficult to overstate the damage that has been done. Generations have been lost to the prison system. Countless families have been torn apart or rendered homeless. The school to prison pipeline has been born that shuttles young people from their decrepit, underfunded schools to brand new high-tech prisons." Wow. You got to admit, man.
It's deep.
That is a powerful statement to be made, without a doubt. But it is true.
It's true. And then add that to the fact that the man himself, Bill Clinton, former President Bill Clinton, at an NAACP meeting in Philly back in 2015, acknowledged himself that the crime bill that he signed into law in 1994 worsened the nation's criminal justice system by increasing those prison sentences.
Exactly.
He acknowledged that the crime bill cast too wide of a net.
It did.
That it made the problem of mass incarceration worse. So it did not help. It made it worse.
It did. And the thing of it is, the black community suffered a great deal.
The most, I think. I think, by and large, the black people were the ones who suffered under that bill.
There's no doubt about it. In fact, the omnibus crime bill that Clinton signed in 1994 included, and I know everybody remembers this, the federal 3 strikes provision.
Yeah.
And what that did, it mandated life sentences for criminals convicted of a violent felony after 2 or more prior convictions. But here's the kicker, including drug crimes.
Yeah.
So a lot of blacks, they wound up having a problem. They had 2 felonies on their record. And then they got caught with a drug possession.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And let's not get started with the drug laws and how those were targeted. I mean, that's
oh
man, we could spend all day just talking about that and how that has affected the black community over decades. I think over at least a century or more. Laws have been being passed. Specifically targeting black people in relation to drug use.
Yeah, I mean, but the situation, it continues on here in America, and we have black pastors that are trying to address this.
Yeah, and we definitely have to look at the fact that we have a problem.
We do.
We got a problem in the black communities. And there's some questions that need answering. I think one of those questions is, how can we bring about or change or reform in the prison system? How can we bring that about? And then the second question that I think we need to be looking at is, what tools do black men and our black women coming out of the prison system need in order to help set them up for success and equip them so that they don't return to prison?
The recidivism rate is high especially for the African Americans coming out of the prison system. And let's face the facts, man. I mean, come on, can we get real for a minute? And no community leader can even begin to deal with these issues alone. It's just far too big. This is bigger than what the community leaders can, the pastors can, the churches can do. I mean, it's beyond even what the churches and the communities are able to do, no matter how well their intentions are. And so this is one of the things that really bothers me when it comes down to, seeking help. To see if we can make a difference in these communities. These are, I believe, and I commend these black pastors for doing what they did, taking the courage. They knew they would catch backlash. They knew that other pastors would rise up against them. They knew that even some of the church members would be against them. They knew that the extreme left was definitely going to be against them. So they took a big risk, but they were willing to do so because it wasn't about them. It was about the people who are suffering in the community. Look, I kind of liken this to this. When someone is in the ocean and drowning, I mean, do they care what color the hand is that reaches down to them? I mean, if you're in the ocean drowning, man, do you care? Oh, wait. That's the wrong color hand. I want a black man to help me. I want an Asian to help me. Are you really going to care about what hand reaches the water to help you, man?
Are you going to care what political party they're affiliated with?
You going to care what gender they are?
I don't think so.
If they're trying to say, are you going to, wait a minute. Are you a Democrat or Republican or Independent? Which are you?
No, you know what you're going to do is you're going to grasp that hand and hold on for dear life. That's what you're going to do. But that's the problem. That's not what we're doing as a people. And,
exactly.
We have an issue in America right now where black citizens are drowning in urban ghettos across America.
That's right.
They're drowning in the prisons across America.
That's right.
And they have been for decades.
And it doesn't seem to be any changes made. Look, the Democrats haven't made any changes in this. I mean, it continues on. Now, we have black pastors that are willing to go and sit down to talk to see if they can come with some kind of solution, some kind of answers for this. Now, I got to tell you, man, and I'm quite sure you agree with me, this is not about politics. It's not about politics. This is about people. This is about people who are suffering. people who are drowning in these communities right now, and they need help. They're asking for help. Political loyalties need to be replaced by an impassioned fight to save those who are drowning and asking for help. We need to put the politics aside. Stop with this. You're a Democrat, I'm a Republican. We don't stop with all of this, and let's help the people that are in need of help.
It's time for African Americans to come together.
That's right.
So we got to come together along with the pastors in the urban communities, along with the community leaders and organizers all across America, and we got to stand together as one.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
That is where the point that we're at right now,
and that's the boat that we're missing.
Yeah.
We're still so divided as a people, and we're allowing ourselves to be controlled by politics.
And we don't see the fact that we're approaching a precipice as a people.
That's right. That's right.
Which either we're going to be in a situation where we either rise to the occasion or succumb to our circumstances.
Hey, we will either rise together in unity, or we will fall divided. And you know what? And that'll be the legacy we leave behind.
Absolutely.
Of failed people. We can't afford that to happen. And I can't but ask myself the question, why are African Americans maintaining this insane loyalty to Democrats who have done, I can't think of anything they've really done to improve the lives of blacks in this country. I mean, I've been looking, trying to figure out something, but most blacks are still living in the impoverished inner cities. I mean, let's face the fact. They did nothing as far as trying to help blacks to get jobs. Did nothing as far as economic development for blacks. The only thing they want to come to the community and just offer more and more and more welfare. And I understand there's some of those people who may be elderly or sickly or whatever have issues. They need that. But the majority of African American people don't need more welfare. We need empowerment, economic. Say it again.
We need opportunity. We don't need opportunity. We need opportunity to do for ourselves.
That's right, because most black folks are still living in these impoverished inner city ghettos across America. I mean, where poverty, crime, drugs, and murder continue to prosper in those communities, where many of these folks are living in fear, in fear for their children, for their children's lives, and in fear for their own lives on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
I mean, they don't know if they walk out the door, if they're going to get shot, if their children are going to return home or not. They're living in fear, and things aren't getting better. Abandoned homes. I mean, littering the neighborhoods. I mean, and what's happening? Most liberal Democrats, from what I can see, they don't seem to even care about anything that's happening in these communities.
Yeah. I mean, we got to look at the reality of the evidence around us.
That's right.
We have to look at the inner cities in Chicago, which is an all-out war right now.
That's right.
I mean, they have an out-of-control murder rate. California has tent cities all over the place, and human feces scattered all across the streets. You got downtown areas crowded with homeless people, and many, many, many impoverished black inner city ghettos.
Amen.
We have Philadelphia. We have so many poor black communities all over Philly, St. Louis, Milwaukee, Detroit,
Las Vegas.
Come on,
Cleveland, Ohio.
Rattle these cities off. I mean, we
Camden, New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey. I mean, it goes on and on and on across America. You know, the fact is, I mean, let's face the fact: 9 out of 10 of the poorest cities in America are run by Democrats and have been for years. I mean, that's got to tell us something right now. Where's the help for black Americans in this country? We African American men, we're still, let's face the facts, the majority, make up the majority of the prison system.
Absolutely. And you know, that's the thing, is that regardless of the rhetoric that a lot of our black Democratic politicians are pitching, we as a people, we have been ignored.
That's right.
So right now we're seeing the focus shift to illegal aliens,
right? Sanctuary cities,
to immigration, to sanctuary cities.
Yeah.
And that's the new voting bloc that the Democrats are really trying to bring into America. That's the focus now.
Yeah.
So at a certain point in time, we as black Americans are going to see our vote become less and less powerful and less valued. And as that happens, we're going to see our needs and our wants also become less and less important.
They won't really need us anymore, will they?
And we're not holding their feet to the fire.
Exactly. They won't really need us because they're going to have a whole new voting block that they're bringing in. I mean, look at some of these cities here, Chicago, Rahm Emanuel. Let's face the facts. Rahm Emanuel, he's trying to bring in a sanctuary city, the Harvard immigrants, illegal immigrants at that, putting strain on the budget. The Mayor Kenney of Philadelphia, with the problems there, he celebrated being a sanctuary city. Look, we got to face the facts that things are going on here in America, and we're to deal with all these problems. We're going to have to come up with some kind of solutions.
Yeah. We got to come up with some solutions because as African Americans, we face tremendous problems in this country. And in order to come up with solutions, I think we are going to have to move past our political bias.
That's right.
Our beliefs. We're going to have to move beyond this knee-jerk reactions that are produced by our feelings about party alliance.
That's right.
Black pastors, community leaders, we as a people, we've been divided for too long.
That's right.
We've been too loyal to a Democratic Party, which has failed us for too long.
Oh, man, you're right about that. They failed us for too long, but we continue to cling to it, man. So the fact is, we must move beyond loyalty to a political party. I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, or Independent. Doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
It makes no difference. We've got to make them earn our vote. Instead, we need to form a loyalty to a move of the upper progression for the success of us as a people and for the future of the African American communities, for our children. We've got to move beyond this stuff. It hit me. James Brown came out with a song, and I'm going to close with this. And I know you remember this song back in 1969. I know you heard it, man, because you're a young man, but you got that old school soul in you, man.
I like some R&B now.
Exactly. He came out with a song called "I Don't Want Nobody to Give Me Nothing." Open up the door, I'll get it myself.
There you go.
Black people, that needs to be our mantra.
That's right.
Open up the door, we will get it ourselves. Let's stand united and not divided.
Stand united.
Just unify as black people and make a difference together for us, for our children, for our grandchildren.
That's right.
For our children's children. Let's do it. We can do it.
Open that door. Get it for yourselves.
Stand united.
Here we go. We're out.
Peace.
Peace.